Hello, is that Chris?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hi, I'm very well. This is Colin Stone from Radio Caley. It's an absolute honour for me to say that I'm joined by a man with such incredible talents, as the best in the world, everything he does. Yourself, how are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm very, very well. So, Chris, I was sitting around last night and I thought, what an awesome opportunity this is to get to interview someone who has literally done it all: wrestler, entertainer, author, game show host, dancer, rock star, and another huge UK tour coming up with Fozzy. I mean, is there anything left for you to achieve?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I never really looked at it like here's a big laundry list of things I want to do. I mean, the only things I ever wanted to do when I was a kid is I wanted to be in a rock and roll band and I wanted to be a wrestler, and they're both, entertainers. And that's kind of what I realized that I was early on into my career, is that I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm just an entertainer. So anything that I can do that falls within those boundaries that I feel I can do to the best of my abilities, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try, and I'm going to make it work. So, yeah, it's kind of cool to have you list all those things and realize I've done a lot of shit in my time, which is cool. But it all comes from the same place, which is just wanting to entertain people and wanting to be a showman.
Mm-hmm. Now, for listeners who may not be familiar with Fozzy, could you give a brief biography of the band?
Yeah, I mean it's a 13-year history. You know what I mean? So it's hard to give a brief biography, but we're getting ready to come over to the UK for, I think it's our 12th tour of the UK. Our new record, Sin and Bones, is the quickest selling record of our career, the highest charting record of our career, and we're really looking forward to coming back to the UK, man. We always kind of call it our second home, and it's been a while since we were there, and we're looking forward to coming over and tearing some heads off and seeing a lot of old friends and making a lot of new ones.
As you were saying, like, you've just released a new record in the summer called Sin and Bones, and it's gone down extremely well. I mean, I saw a quote yesterday saying that described Fozzy as one of the great modern metal bands. And how does that make you feel? I mean, you've come, like you said, 13 years, and then now to be described as, yeah, one of the greats.
Well, I mean, it's always cool to see people's opinions when you release a new record, because as a band, as a songwriter, you always think, well, this is the best stuff we've ever done. And it's a little bit of a nervous time when you first put it out, kind of that week before people get it, before the reviews start coming out, because you want to make sure, like, do other people feel the same way? Like, I think this is the best thing I've ever done. I hope that everyone else does too. And then when you start seeing the reviews and getting the reviews in of people saying just that, it really does kind of, it's a very gratifying, result to hear people saying, oh, this is the best thing they've ever done. We really like this record. We like this song. We like that song. And, like I said, when you do a record, you're kind of putting your whole heart and soul out there for the world to see. And when people respond very positively, then it's like, oh, it was worthwhile. So that is a pretty cool thing to have happen. And like I said, just chart wise, it's the highest charting record of our career, and all the different things that have been happening. So they're really great songs to play live too. So we're really excited to come over to the UK and play over half the record live every night. It's going to be really amazing to see the reactions, because we did it over the summer in the States, and people went nuts for the song. So we're excited to kind of get the same reactions over in our second home in the UK.
Now, we've had a few questions in from listeners. One of them is, what's your favourite song from the new album?
It's hard to pick just one. Like, what's your favorite child? I love them all in different ways, but I think I love Spider in My Mouth, the first song on the record. I love Blood Happens, especially live. That one tears the house down every time. I love Storm the Beaches, which is the long song on the record. Probably my sleeper favorite is a song called Past Life, which is a real kind of a Doors meets Iron Maiden type song that you have to listen to 2 or 3 times to really get into it, but people are really making comments on that. And that, everybody's got their own different favorites, so that's one thing that's cool. It's a good problem to have.
Now, you released the music video to Sandpaper a week ago. In the video itself, you have some fantastic contact lenses, and I'm assuming your eyes aren't normally that terrifying. By the end of the video, which is very entertaining, you get attacked by some plants and dragged off camera. How did the idea for that video come about?
That video is a homage to a movie called Evil Dead. It's a horror movie that came out about 30 years ago, and it's very influential. Directed by a guy called Sam Raimi, who did the Spider-Man movies, and it was just a really cool, low-budget movie that was very influential with the way that it did things, the camera shots, and all that sort of stuff. So we just had the idea to do kind of an Evil Dead homage, and that's kind of how it's done. If you actually watch the Evil Dead movie, you'll see almost exact shot for shot what's in sandpaper. So it was just, I thought, a kind of a cool vibe, a cool idea. And if you've seen Evil Dead, you really appreciate it. If you haven't, there's still a lot of cool stuff in there. And I think it's been a huge success for us so far.
And you've played at the likes of the Download Festival in the UK, and you've also headlined WrestleManias. Which one is better, and why?
I love them both because, like I said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be in a rock band and I wanted to be a wrestler. And it doesn't get any bigger than WrestleMania, and it doesn't get any bigger than Download. And our day at Download this year was a huge groundbreaking moment for the band, because the band before us played in front of probably 1,000 people, and when we came on stage, there was like 30,000 people. I'm still kind of confused as to where they all came from, but they were there to. It was a great moment, a great gig, and I mean, I love them both. They both mean as much to me, but obviously the next step is to be one of the headliners at Download and not playing, earlier in the day, which is still amazing. But, this year was like being in the second match at WrestleMania, and over the next few years I want to be in the main event. So.
Now, as I was saying earlier, you've pretty much done everything possible. You've been there, you've gone there and got the T-shirt. If you do have any spare time, what do you do in it?
Just spend as much time at home with my family as I can. But I am always doing something. There's always a lot of projects that are dumped in my lap, and I don't accept everything that I get, believe me. But sometimes things come up that you just can't say no to, and other times things come up that you can't say yes to. So whenever I do have free time, I just like staying at home and hanging out with my kids, and that's the balance, and that's why I'm able to make it work. When I'm at home, it's kid time, and that's it. Nothing else matters. So I work hard when I'm on the road, but I also work hard when I'm at home to be the best dad I can be.
As you mentioned, Fozzy are touring the UK in November. You're doing a whole host of shows, but before that you're doing a spoken word show in London. I think it's called Rock Stars Say the Funniest Things. I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, it's an idea that was presented to me by our booking agency, and they got Scotty in and Duff McKagan and myself, 3 separate shows and 3 separate nights to just do basic spoken word performances, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I don't really have a script per se in mind. I've done a lot of Q&As in the past. I love that side of things. So, I'm going to go out there with a few ideas, but I'm just kind of leaving it up to the audience, and we'll do Q&As, and I'll just tell stories. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun because I've written two New York Times best-selling books, 2 London Times best-selling books of all the experiences that I've had. I'm working on my 3rd one right now, and all those experiences are very, very entertaining, whether they're good or bad. And I'm not going to hold anything back. If you have a question, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to tell you the story of what you want to hear. And I think people are excited about it because everyone likes to be involved. And what if I could ask Paul McCartney one question, knowing that he would answer, what would I ask him? I think it's going to be a great night, and the first of many. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it.
You're playing the Arches in Glasgow. It's an excellent wee venue on Friday, 30th of November. What can fans expect from that?
Well, we love playing Scotland. Glasgow's a great rock and roll city. We always have a huge crowd. We always have a great show. Some of the best shows we've had over the years have been in Scotland, Edinburgh, and Glasgow. So anytime I see Scotland on the booking sheet, I know that's going to be a good show, and I think our reputation precedes us as a very exciting, energetic, entertaining live band. We're excited to play, like I said, the new songs, and most importantly, we're at the point now where we're going to have, all of our loyal Fozzy fans there, but also we're going to have a lot of new people there too, which is one cool thing about putting out a big record. And also touring with Soil, there's going to be some different fans that haven't seen us before. So we're really excited to make new fans and to have a big giant party. That's what it is. Every time we play, that's what it is, and we're really, really looking forward to it. Like I said, Scotland's always a high point of the tour every time.
That's good to hear. Scottish people do know how to party. Now, some people perhaps have maybe...
They absolutely do, man. They really do. There's no doubt about it. It's funny. Scottish can out-party the Irish every time. It's just... We went out a couple months ago. We were in Abu Dhabi, and I was with Drew McIntyre, who's a Scottish guy in the WWE. And we met a bunch of Irish guys, and the Canadian and the Scot killed the Irish at drinking. It was awesome. We just killed them. It was an annihilation. So it was like, the Commonwealth, Scotland and Canada win every time. So we're excited to bring that attitude to Glasgow for sure in December. November.
I know that Fozzy's your main centre of attention right now, but having mentioned Drew McIntyre, I had to ask you this about Drew McIntyre, Scotland's gift to the WWE. He debuted a few years ago. He started brightly, but recently he's fallen out of contention a wee bit. What do you think he has to do to really reach the kind of level that you were at for so long?
Just be patient. It's the same thing I went through, and a lot of times in the WWE they go through phases of what guys they do stuff with, and you just got to be patient. Just know that bigger and better things are coming, and just don't lose sight of what's going on, and just know that things don't happen quickly a lot of times, and that's good. So he's going to do just fine. It's just a matter of them finding the right thing for him to do, and until then, you just got to have a good attitude and just work as hard as you can with whatever it is that you're given.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people have perhaps doubted Fozzy's credentials due to your career as a wrestler, almost thinking that because you've done some pro wrestling, that a musical career is going to totally lack credibility. But what would you say to people who suggest something like that?
I don't really care when people say it like that, because I've been playing in bands since I was 12 years old. It's all I know how to do besides wrestle. Like I said, it's entertainment. I could go toe-to-toe with anybody when it comes to metal trivia or rock and roll knowledge. And just, after 6 records in 13 years, I think people know that this is the real deal. We're not going anywhere. We're going to put out another record after this, and we'll put out another record after that. And, when I go see Iron Maiden, I don't think of them as the airline pilots band. Bruce Dickinson happens to be an airline pilot, and it's good for him. But when he's on stage with Maiden, I don't care what else he does. I just care about him putting on a good show and the band kicking ass. And it's the same with Fozzy. 30 Seconds to Mars is a great band. Jared Leto's a great singer, and oh my gosh, he's also a very talented actor. But when I go see 30 Seconds to Mars, I don't care about the fact he's an actor. I just care that he's a great singer, a great lyricist, and a great performer. And there's always going to be people that hate on you for whatever it is that you do. And like I say, if you don't like the band, then step aside and give people that like the band a better seat, But at least check it out. The only people that don't like Fozzy are the ones that have never heard the band. They just assume, and you never assume. It just makes an ass out of you and me. So don't assume, people. Just enjoy it, embrace it, and give it a shot. And like thousands and thousands and thousands of other people around the planet, you will like it. I bet you.
Now, perhaps you're keeping your future plans under wraps. You mentioned you're in the middle of writing another book. You're perhaps thinking of doing another Fozzy album shortly. And then you're also, of course, perhaps a return to Monday Night Raw to make it Raw is Jericho once again. What one do you think of those will come first?
Well, there won't be any return to Monday Night Raw anytime soon. My whole schedule now is based around Fozzy. So I think probably the book is we're working on right now. We're already writing songs for the next record. So I'd say those two are probably going to happen before I ever come back to the WWE. And if I do come back to the WWE, it's just going to be for a short term. That's just the way it is now. If Fozzy's taking a break doing a new record, maybe I'll come back. But until then, wrestling is kind of the last thing on my plate. I got so much other stuff going on, and most of it is Fozzy at this point in time, and that's the way I want it.
Are there any other musicians or artists you'd like to collaborate with Fozzy? I know you had with Sandpaper, you had M Shadows. Is there anyone else perhaps you'd like on a new record?
Yeah, on this record we had M Shadows on Sandpaper. We had Phil Campbell from Motorhead play a solo on a song called She's My Addiction, and both those guys were friends of the band, and both fit. I don't want to use somebody to collaborate with just because it's a stunt casting or just a name value thing. So if a song comes up and we need a certain kind of singer, then I'll find somebody, or a certain kind of guitar lead, I'll find somebody. But it all depends on the song. You know what I mean? That's all that matters.
Talking of collaborating with musicians and artists, we had another question from a listener saying, who is your favourite all-time musician?
Paul McCartney, by far.
That's a good answer. And also, on a very, very related point, who's your all-time favourite opponent in the ring?
Probably Shawn Michaels.
And did you enjoy your recent set of matches with Dolph Ziggler? You've put him over on Twitter recently.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I think I'd like to have more with him to kind of get more inside of his head, but we only had 2 matches, and you can never really get a true feel for somebody, but I got an idea of what he's all about, and he's good. He needs to learn more. Hopefully I get a chance to work with him more in the future, but he definitely has a lot of potential for sure.
Mm-hmm. And last couple of questions. How do you go about writing creatively for Fozzy? I mean, are you where all the ideas come from, or is it a kind of a band effort?
It's most of the time between me and Rich Ward, and I would come up with the lyrics and the concepts. He comes up with the riffs and the melody lines, and that's kind of how we work it.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, you're coming to Glasgow next month. I'd love to talk to you and the band again in person, but first and foremost, have you ever put a radio presenter in the walls of Jericho before? Can I be the first? You know, I watch a lot of pro wrestling. I can sell quite well. If I started listing all your 1,004 holds, would you do it then?
Yeah, man, I get paid too much money to do that. I do it for free.
Excellent. Now, just before I let you go, could you do a huge favour for us and just record a very quick ident? All you have to say is, this is Chris Jericho, and you're listening to Radio Caley.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho, and you're listening to Radio Caley. Don't switch it, or I will come find you. I know where you live.
Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's been brilliant to have you on the show, and I'm sure I will see you next month when you're in Glasgow.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a cracking gig. It's going to be so crazy, so we're really, really excited. We'll see you then.
Chris, thanks very much.